starting off, we're just gonna go ahead and disassemble everything, lay everything out, so everyone can kind of see the step-by-step process for completely breaking down the saw, and then we'll cut away, get everything cleaned, rinsed off, brought back over here, and then we'll reassemble. So starting off, go ahead and remove our bar nuts. Remove our sprocket cover. Move our chain. Next thing we're going to remove is the spring cover for the brake. Might need to move this inner plate first. And just got built up material on the inside. There we go. So what I like to do is I'm taking these parts, everything apart, all the little screws I'll keep together. I'll try not to get too much stuff in the parts cleaner, so that way I can easily keep track of everything. So the E-clip is kind of one of the toughest things to take off. One thing to remember is we don't want to do this with the brake on. With the brake on, it kind of pushes the sprocket up a little bit and can make it harder to get that E-clip off. So if you take that brake off, if you just come in with the carb screw, finagle it a little bit. There we go. E-clip, sprocket washer, clutch drum, and our needle bearing. Okay, so this side of the saw is fully disassembled. Go. Again, all the little screws I'll marry up with where they go so I can keep track of them easier. Air filter shroud. Air filter. And then we'll just put a glove on the back of here on the air filter base, just to make sure we don't get anything fall inside. My top shroud. Spark plugs, we want to avoid coming in with the wrench and prying open on it. If you move it side to side, loosen it up a little bit. The reason we want to do that is because there's some coils on the inside here that if we just pry open on that, you have a tendency of bending those coils in there. And then we're going to leave the spark plug on for right now. But as far as everything else being disassembled, this is about as far as we'll take it. We can remove the muffler if we need to. That'll be a separate video just showing how we disassemble that. Take a wire wheel to it, just knock off any excessive stuff. So at this point, take the air to it, blow out all the excessive material. We'll take it over to the parts cleaner, get everything deep cleaned, and then just before we put it back together, we'll talk about some things to be mindful of. All right, so as we're taking the saw apart, we want to blow off everything into the trash can, making sure that we wear a proper PPE, eyes, ears, gloves, brush coat, just to kind of protect our shirts. But once we start pulling everything apart, just take it over a trash can, blow off all the extra debris, so that way it's less material getting into the parts cleaner, so that way we don't need to get those changed out as much. So we can see here, this was the old blade that was on it. As you can tell, we've got these burrs. This bar is very worn out at this point. We want to make sure that once we're done training and cleaning saws that we rotate them, so that way we try to get even wear on both sides of the blades. So this one's going to be going out of service and we're just going to be putting in a new one. Again, we can take a bastard file to the sides of these grooves and smooth them out and try to get some more life from the bar. But ultimately this one's time to retire. So we get a lot of buildup around the base of the spark plug here, and we can't take this back plate off without disassembling the saw further. So what we found is using the toothpick, you can get in here and scrape off all the extra buildup around the spark plug. And once you got a good amount of it scraped off,
I think I'm trying to do kind of a further out view, and we can.
just back the spark plug off a little bit more and scrape some more of that material off. And then come in with some air and just blow around it, so once you take off the spark plug, that extra material doesn't want to fall through. And from here, you're okay to remove the spark plug. Check to make sure you still got a good gap, and then we'll put this through the parts cleaner and clean up all the excessive around it. And then go ahead and stick a glove in there the best you can, just so we avoid getting any other material in there. So when it comes to cleaning the body of the saw, we want to be mindful, right? We've got two open holes on the saw right there. We also have a hole on the muffler side right here too that we don't want to try to get excess cleaner in. And then we also don't want to submerge or drown the computer with a lot of solvent. So just be mindful. And I'll usually work from the handle down, so that way as I'm cleaning, all the extra solvent is running off whatever extra material it can grab. The other thing that we're seeing is a lot of buildup on the head itself, so we want to make sure that we're busting off all that gunk on there, because otherwise this hardens up, and when the saw pulls air in, it's using these fans to help cool the head down. So if we have excess material on there, we're going to wear down our saws quicker. So when we scrape this material though, we don't want to scrape too hard that we're actually putting gouges into the head itself, so just be mindful of that. Okay, so once I got the spark plug all cleaned, then I'm okay to pull that glove out. We're just gonna put the spark plug back in. We're not gonna tension it down all the way just yet. But the reason I do that is so that way I can really get the solvent back there and get whatever other buildup is, whatever other gunk is built up back there. Like I said, coming back through with the pick. The carb screw is really good for this one too. And I just kind of give everything a nice light scrape. All right, so that's everything taken apart, cleaned through the parts cleaner, rinsed off, wiped down. With the bar, like we mentioned, we check for those spurs. We make sure that our tip sprocket is moving freely. And then I need to make sure that I clean out the guide on the guide bar, either with the scrench or the carb screw. Just come through here, scrape out whatever material is still lingering around. The other thing I want to make sure is clear are these oiler ports. I'll just take the air chuck, blow in there, just make sure that I don't get anything built up. On my sprocket plate, I just need to make sure that I have my bumper right here. We don't have them on the top one. Then I also make sure that my chip guard is still intact. And then just make sure that my bar nuts, they're still functioning the way that they should be. And then everything will get wiped down with WD-40 just before we start the reassembly process. And then we'll go from there. Once we have the parts cleaned in the parts cleaner, rinsed off, we brought them back over to the table. We've dried them off completely. We want to make sure that we put sprints everything down with WD-40. All that's doing is just help keep that buildup of grime from getting on the saws. And so quick sprints on everything, wipe down, reassemble, and your saw's ready to go. All right, so the assembly process is just reverse of what you did taking it apart. So spark plug, if I grab the right wrench, spark plug, tight but not too tight. We don't need to over crank it. Your spark plug boot, make sure that that sits all the way. I'll grab the fin there and push down, and I should feel those coils move on the top of that spark plug. Flywheel cover. I just give it a little pull to make sure it sets. I've got those 4 screws. One of the screws looks different from the rest. That one goes up into the brake handle. Okay, on the top shroud, you have these 3 plastic posts, and you need to make sure that your shroud lock is sideways like that, so that way it marries in with the head. And this can sometimes be a little tricky, just trying to get it back into place. There you go. Once you feel it's set in and it's not rocking on you, go ahead and lock. You got to put some force behind this. This screw head here will sometimes strip out, so if yours is getting worn down, time to write it up. Next, glove comes off the base. Air filter, when we cleaned it out, we blew everything from the inside out. Gave it some taps on a hard surface just to get the rest of the deep set of material out. And then just making sure that we held it up to the light, made sure we didn't have too many pinholes or big holes on the filter. Okay, brake spring cover. our inside plate. Don't over tension this one. This one's easy to strip. All right. So now your needle bearing. Usually after about 1 or 2 trainings, it'll be about time to replace this. If you don't have extra ones, get them ordered. But all I'm checking for are any nicks on the bearings or if I have any melted plastic. It's just time to replace it. We're gonna start off with getting some grease in there. I just like taking that grease and pinching it between the bearing until I start to see it come out of the bearing itself. Get our clutch drum back on. Again, there's this little notch that's on the drum. You have to marry it up with the notch that's on the inside of the saw there. This is just what helps oil your bar. Make sure your brake's off. And that should fall right in there. And spin freely. Next, your sprocket. Sprocket washer. And then your E-clip. Couple different options of putting this on. Again, this is one of those things where by the time I replace my needle bearing, I'm going to replace my E-clip also. These will just get stretched out over time and it's just easier to replace them. 2 different ways of putting your E-clip on. The way that we've been doing it for years, marry it up right there, hit the back of that and hope that the E-clip stays. The other trick we have is we can use the scrunch. If we marry that up just right, that like almost never happens on the first shot. There we go. Okay, just make sure that that spins freely, nothing feels off. We grab that chain. Yeah, the one that we're putting on here. So again, with our chains, right, if we're missing 3 teeth in a row or 5 altogether on the chain, it's time to replace it. What I prefer to do is get the chain semi on and at least the bar nuts tightened down. I'll start it up and just give it a little rev. And all I'm wanting to make sure is that all the chain drivers sit inside the guide bar and is in contact with the sprockets. We'll start it up real quick. That's way too tight. You'll have some excess burn off from the solvent and everything else that we've been putting on it for cleaner. And you'll probably have some just loose chunks pop off, but that's totally normal. And then as soon as you're done with your check, make sure again your chain's good. And then oil and gas, and your saw's ready to go back into service. Okay, so we have an excessive amount of buildup on the exhaust, right? We want to get that cleaned off. We've done as much as we can with the parts cleaner, but ultimately we're just gonna pull this guy off. So you have 4 screws on the front. Okay, you have the 2 screws up top, and then you're supposed to have the washers on the bottom for the bottom screws. That front comes off. You want to take that off as soft as you can. You see this gasket is pretty flimsy. I just confirmed with Wes, and he said that we can get these parts replaced. So if yours is cracked and worn down, if you don't have extra ones, just go ahead and get them ordered. Or if you're stuck with a cracked one, just put it together as best you can, and then back on the front of the muffler. On the inside here, there's 2 more screws deep back in there. We also have the spark arrestor here. Try not to just throw those away. It does void the warranty for the saw, so we want to make sure that we keep that spark arrestor in there. We just want to make sure that it's cleaned off. You'll just bend these tabs back, and then you can pull that out with some pliers. So there's your muffler assembly without the gasket. Take this to the wire wheel. Go ahead and knock off all that extra buildup. On the inside here though, we have another gasket right here. And then we also have this heat shield that we need to make sure goes in the correct way. The other thing to remember now is I've got a straight hole straight into the motor. So either be heads up with that if you're gonna clean around it, or just put a glove inside of it and keep all the debris out. And so. Now we want to make sure that we put everything back the correct way. So your heat shield. Okay. Gasket. Be kind of light with putting this on. Small screws go up top. It'll be easier if I just put it down. Perfect. That's how you take apart your muffler, clean it off, put it back, put your chain back on, bar back on, and call it good. From attaching to the, sorry, let's back that.
No, you're good. Perfect.
Okay, good.
Yep.